the Speaker of the House of Representatives in Nigeria, Femi Gbajabiamila, has scheduled a meeting with the leadership of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors. There's a quote from the president of the NARD, says the strike, which is why they're meeting, is persisting because the government is not being responsible. They can go on air and say they have already sent an invite to us so that we can get this sorted out. However, we have not had any invite from anybody from the Ministry of Labor. The only invite we have is from the Speaker of the House of Representatives to look at a way of things getting better and going forward. Joining us to discuss these headlines is Arise business analyst Chika Umbone. Chika, you're very welcome.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you, sir. So, what do you make of Aliko Dangote's comments on collective tax responsibility?
You know, for every nation, for most nations, the revenue for running a nation comes from tax. You know, I think it's Nigeria and one or two other nations is where you have, when you're calculating revenue, you will say the tax plus oil revenues. Oil revenues is because of the fact that Nigeria has interest in some of the IOCs. And so the oil proceeds are coming there. They have some portion of it which Nigeria sells on its own. Otherwise, in other countries, what happens is that the IOCs have the full oil, sell it and pay tax on it. So the point I'm making is that tax is actually the main source of revenue for every government, you know, and that's something should be something for Nigeria. I don't like banding figures, but you look at, they tell you our tax to GDP ratio, which is about 5 to 8%. Yeah. Comparable countries like maybe, you know, some hover about 20% for peer countries. And so ours is very low. It tells you the tax net is very shallow. I define tax several times as, you know, the government's share of your profit, because the government making your business easy to run.
Yes.
In the sense that they provide roads for you, you know, the water you use to run your business, the electricity you need to run your business, and therefore your business can run profitably and make more profit, and the government shares in that profit by taxing you. You know, that's a social definition of tax. So, yes, the government needs to, you know, tax, people need to pay tax. That's how the government is going to run. I'll have no choice in that. But, you know, between the citizens and the government, there's lack of trust. And so, if an individual who's traveling to Alaba International Market has to enter the bush, come out, his trailer that was carrying load of food, load of things imported falls down, you know, and then he wants me to pay tax on that bad road. It's a problem. The person whose trailer is hijacked on the road, or people are kidnapped while he's traveling on the road to go and sell his goods, it's difficult for him to talk about tax. And so there's a social contract between the government and the citizens on the use of tax. But the issue, as Aliko has said, is the fact that government needs revenue to run tax. And a government needs to tax to run the government. The government.
Yeah.
And it's important that citizens pay their tax. But also, the responsibility is on the government side to work with the citizens and reassure them that they use profitably the tax that is collected. And that's where the trust gap is.
Fantastic. One of the examples you just gave was being kidnapped on the roads while heading. He also talked about the insecurity affecting investments. Is that, I guess, you know...
I mean that's a slam dunk. I mean, you don't need to, you know... You have some investors in the investment room in France, in London, in New York, in Hong Kong, trying to come to Nigeria. You know, and every day the embassy, the first thing they do is to go to the embassy to find out the security situation there. And a lot of the embassies have put out, the British people have said, citizens don't go to Nigeria. The Americans have said, citizens, you know, Canadians have, you know, so how would investors come to Nigeria? So it's critical that we get the security overhang totally under control. Just as Aliko has also said, it's difficult to invest in a country where there's no security. When you hear that investors who went to meeting in Kaduna or Imo State are being kidnapped on the way, you know, how do you want other investors to come in? The problem.
He also talked about on the security issue that the private sector has pledged 100 billion naira to the police. Is that where we are now, where the private sector is helping the government by pledging money to the police force?
Under the car COVID,
yes.
You know, they came under the car COVID.
Yes.
Part of the things they thought about was that. But you know, when you look at it, it says the government's how much? 13 trillion naira.
Yeah.
For 200 million people. You know, about 4 trillion of that is almost servicing debts. So how much remaining?
Right.
So we have big problems in this country. As one minister will tell me, it says 1.5 million barrels a day at $70 per barrel for 200 million people. How far will it go? So the private investors, the banks, the oil companies, the manufacturers like Aliko, in their own interest, will have to support the police. Now, and it's double taxation in the sense that these people are paying tax, these companies are paying tax. So government can use the tax revenues to secure their businesses. And that's not happening. And then they have to go directly to the police now to provide police. See what is happening in Lagos State here with the Lagos State Police Trust Fund.
Right.
The number of, meanwhile, police has its annual budget, which they say is paltry, and can't even pay salaries only. So it's a big problem that we have, and that has to be addressed.
Chika, I tried to ask you this question last time. You didn't you didn't want to answer on state police. I mean, I'll try again, because you don't like talking about politics. You don't want to talk about business. But if the private sector is giving 100 billion to police, does that now open the way for state police?
Well, there's so many arguments about the state police thing.
Right.
And I heard, you always try to force me to stop politics.
I'm sorry,
My problem is that
yes,
with the kind of clannishness, ethnicity, even inside states, how states are polarized. Look at what happened in Imo State now. The governor is saying his political enemies that they attacked the prison and attacked the police or something. So you can imagine the governor in charge of the police in the state
saying such a thing.
Saying such a thing. What will happen to his political enemies?
Right.
So I have a problem with that. We have not reached our political climate has not reached a level where with that level of maturity, where people accept the results of elections. They don't accept the results of elections. People want to win election at all costs, with the power of incumbency. People want to ascribe everything to the enemies. If it happens to Muslims, they say it's Christians. If it happens to Christians, they say it's Muslims. If it happens to the East, they say it's North and Coast East. If it happens to the North, nobody wants to take responsibility. So I find it, I'm not on the boat for this community state police thing yet.
Understood.
Because of the fact that we don't have the maturity to do that. The little power that you give to some of these governors and whatever, they're abusing it. It's a problem for me.
Clear as day. I want to get to SHOPRITE. SHOPRITE is, they said that divesting by the end of the year. Is it a loss?
Business model. Any company does not live in an environment where they're making profit. If the SHOPRITE is making profit here, where would they go to? They will not leave Nigeria.
Right.
See, first of all, two ways. Bringing things from South Africa to land here, they need foreign exchange.
Correct, yes.
Landed costs will be very high because of devaluation. Competing against Nigerian locals.
Yes.
So anything they bring here, and then where does high level of poverty, unemployment to have? People move to the nearest cheaper substitutes.
Right.
You don't want to go to sophisticated, tiled or marbled ShopRite to go and buy Ogiri or Azomangala or things like that. You want to go to a place where you can. So first of all, that's the problem there.
Right.
Second one also is that their profits. How do you remit it? So that, again, that's a fair FX issues.
Yes.
So it's not surprising. And then the traffic also. All these ShopRites are measured on the basis of how many people come there per hour, the foot traffic and all those things have substantially reduced. And so, as I said, the issue, and then it comes down to money, profit. If they're not making profit compared to the investment made on grant, most of these things are done on return on asset basis.
Yes.
And compared to all over Africa, they need to live, they're going to live here, especially with local competition. You see a lot of malls,
Yes.
If you look at I'm not advertising a banner here, but you see,
of course,
wherever you have the foot traffic of ShopRite, you have an banner around it, and then local competition is causing problems for them.
Gotcha. Chika, I don't know why I was asking you about strikes, but Gbajabiamila is meeting with the Association of Resident Doctors.
You
have 20 seconds.
The time that when you hear that the speaker, legislature, that's talking to doctors, striking doctors now, it tells you how bad this country has fallen into.
We have a long way to go. All right, business analyst Chika Mbono, always a pleasure having you to discuss these headlines. Chika, thank you for joining us.